You know her as the adopted daughter of Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy, Nebula. Or perhaps you know her as the rambunctious companion of the 11th Doctor in Doctor Who, Amy. Please give a very warm Phoenix Comicon welcome to Karen Gillan. Fantastic audience for questions, because it looks like we got a lot of folks here. So did you want to go ahead and start here? First, a little pressure. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of pressure.
I'm sorry. Do you want to be second?
No, I totally fine.
Okay.
Anyway, what? Well, so I wanted to ask for both Nebula and Amy.
Yeah.
What do you think approaches characters differently? How do you prepare for those roles?
That's a good question, thank you. I feel like both of those roles are extremely different. I mean, Amy is a good girl at heart. She has a little bit of attitude, but Nebula, on the other hand, is certainly a bad girl. But we understand a little bit more as to why that is. How do I approach them? I mean, Nebula's just so different because her voice is like Marilyn Monroe, and she like moves different, and just the whole like costume just gives me this whole different feel. So I would say that Amy is probably closer to myself, but Nebula is like a complete departure, and then I get to talk like this. Yes. It's really fun just to like drop into that. It's, so yeah, they're really different though. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Right over here on the left.
Hello.
So, if you could make your own awesome mix, what songs would you have?
Good question. So many songs. What would I have? A lot of Elvis Presley, I think. Maybe Jailhouse Rock or Hound Dog. Maybe a bit of Frank Sinatra. That's life, because you can't go wrong with that. And then maybe a bit of classical music, just to mix it up a little bit. It'd be a very different Guardians of the Galaxy with my music taste. I don't know if anyone wants to see that.
Right, thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
I have to confess, I didn't really like Matt Smith at first as the Doctor, but I grew to love him because Amy Pond loved him.
Oh.
So my question is, when did you fall in love with Matt Smith as your Doctor? Was it from the first meeting? Was it the read-through?
I think it was probably my first audition with him for the character. I walked into the room and I was so nervous. I was like, I'm walking to my doom. This is the worst thing I've ever done in my life. BBC is scaring me. And then I went into the room and I saw him and he was so friendly and he gave me a hug. And then we just read through the scenes and it was like we just became the characters. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be such a good version of the Doctor. And I really wanted to be involved in it with him, and it was just so exciting to sort of be one of the first people to see that.
Thank you.
So I love your accent, by the way.
Thanks.
As Nebula, you obviously have a lot of makeup on, and as Amy Pond, there wasn't as much. And your other walls, like looked up. I was wondering, which makeup did you enjoy the most, and which one took the longest?
Which makeup do I enjoy the most? I enjoy wearing no makeup. That's my favorite. So if I never get to do that, that's lovely. Just because then I get to come into work later. And I don't have people always like, you know, touching it up and stuff. The Nebula makeup takes about 4 hours in the morning. And that's it. Oh, yes. To get all of this hair under the bald cap, and then they essentially glue her skin to my face, which sounds really creepy and sorry. I get to wear her skin, which is like the closest thing I'll ever get to her. So that's cool. And yeah, that's kind of extremely intense and claustrophobic, but it's so worth it because by the time the process is over, I'm just so ready to play a supervillain. Thanks.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
So my question is, do you think Nebula's revenge against Thanos will be fulfilled in the Infinity Wars? Or do you think she's going to end up sacrificing her life to save Gamora or another Avenger or Guardian of the Galaxy?
I mean, spoilers. I'm not going to tell you that. I don't know genuinely what's going to happen. Because they don't give you any scripts on the Infinity War, so I don't know. Nobody knows what's going on, which is quite secretive and fun, actually. I would really like to see her get her revenge on Thanos. That would be really cool, but that's just my personal wish for her.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Hello. When did you start acting, and also what inspired you to do it as a profession?
When did I start acting? I did my first professional job when I was 18 years old, which I feel like is a pretty good age to start. I don't feel like you need to do professional work before that, personally. Which I feel like is a pretty good age to start. I don't feel like you need to do professional work before that, personally. Because you need some time to figure out if it really is what you want to do. But I did lots of amateur theatre before that. And I love that so much that it sort of, that's when I realized that I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. And I just love it so much and love disappearing into other characters. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, good. How are you?
Good. So I'm curious, how would the Doctor fare if you and Gillan were on the TARDIS?
Not very well. Or maybe he'd just be like so amazed because there's just like so much ginger flying around. And he wants to be ginger, doesn't he? So maybe he'd just be filled with extreme jealousy and envy, which is understandable. Thank you. Thanks. Over here.
Which Guardians of the Galaxy was more fun to film?
Oh, I'm going to say number 2 for me because I had so much character development and I got to explore my relationship with Gamora in much more detail. And I just loved it, and I loved all the fight sequences, and I got to keep my hair, which was way more fun because I was getting mistaken for a man all too often without the hair because I'm so tall. So it's really nice to feel like a female again.
Hey, thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
So whenever we watch Doctor Who, the episode of The Angels Take Manhattan, where we lose you and Rory, always makes me cry.
Me too.
And also whenever you have given birth to Melody, and Rory is coming, and you tell her that the last Centurion is coming, her father.
Yeah.
Again, just tears. And I was kind of curious, what episode of Doctor Who, when you watch it, always brings the tears to your eye, no matter how often you've seen it?
Other than my exit, which made me cry on the day and every time I've watched it since. Probably Vincent and the Doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, when he sees all of his work, and it's just like, and he's crying, and then I'm crying, it's just harrowing. Yeah, thanks. These microphones are making so funny.
Hi.
Hi.
Caroline, I've always just thought you were dropping gorgeous.
Thank you,
My question is just about the second and first movie about fight choreography and
how much you learned and did on your own, and then how much was a stunt woman?
So I do a version of all of the stunts that Nebula does in the movie. However, then the stunt woman does a version and they look so much better. Because I look like spaghetti, like flying around. And then like the stunt girl looks all like cool and like Nebula. So I feel like I take care of the words and she takes care of the action. And I'm kind of happy with that arrangement. But I definitely do a lot of them and I'm consistently scared when I'm doing them. Like I've had to be dropped from ceilings this high, just like free falling, and then this machine stops me right before I hit the floor. And I'm like, is this safe? We're relying on a machine, what if the power goes out? But yeah, it's kind of fun though.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
I know you had a very big part in Doctor Who, and I knew everyone would ask you Doctor Who questions, so I wanted to ask you about your transition from Doctor Who into doing Oculus, and how you felt about doing that type of movie, because when I watched that movie, I thought that was just a very intense movie, and it was kind of creepy, and you did an amazing job in it. So
Oh, thank you.
wanted to know what you thought about the transition.
I didn't really think of it as a transition actually, because I feel like I was involved in genre and just through being in Doctor Who. So I've dealt with monsters, I've dealt with paranormal things, so it kind of just felt like an extension of that really, which was kind of cool, but it was my first job in America, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I love an American horror movie, so I was just like so excited to walk around the corridors like with like lights and stuff.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I want to know what advice that the doctor gives. It can be 9, 10, 11, or 12. That's something that you wouldn't take or you wouldn't advise others to take.
Oh, that I wouldn't take?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a piece of advice that's been terrible. And I'm sure there's many. I don't know. I can't think of any bad pieces of advice. Matt Smith has given me terrible advice in real life. I mean, I'll share all of those. Not maybe this isn't advice, but he's just so clumsy. I just feel like this isn't even anything to do with advice. I'm sorry, I'm digressing. But like, he's so clumsy that everything breaks around him. So it's like, I think I take it from that, like the piece of advice of like, take care of your stuff and don't bang body parts off the floor. Because he'll like take you down with him if he's like playing the ground. So you just have to like be really careful with yourself and your things.
So what you're saying is this is pretty much 11, like your real life.
Yeah, I can't tell the difference.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
My question is, since Disney is now, like Marvel's under the Disney umbrella, are there any like Disney characters you would love to portray?
Oh, as in like Disney princesses.
Any?
I kind of like Meredith. Oh yeah, the girl from Brave. I would do that. Hello.
First off, I have to say I love you. You're great.
Oh, thank you.
And I was wondering, do you think the Doctor will ever be ginger?
I don't know. I mean, I hope so. I feel like after all this time, he deserves it. Maybe one day. I'm trying to think of ginger people that could play him. Well,
you!
Me? That's gonna get too confusing, I think. Like, trying to explain that one is gonna be really, really confusing. So maybe like the guy from, what's that film, About Time? Have you ever seen that? Richard Burns' film. The guy from that would be good, and he's ginger. Just saying.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to say I love you.
Thank you. Cheers.
I wanted to ask, how did you feel about shaving your head for Nebula in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
It was a really liberating experience to shave my head. I loved it for 2 weeks. And then I was just, you know, as I said, like a masculine, tall, bald person. And people like Matt and Arthur always call me like Moonhead anyway. So that was before I was bald, so they had an absolute field day when I lost my hair. But it just looked like the actual moon. Don't know where I'm going with this. You ever just serious, I'm like, what am I saying? So yeah, I mean, it was a cool experience, but I'm happy to have the red hair back and to be ginger again. Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Hi. Oh, there, sorry, short.
So I wanted to just ask what it was like working with Alex.
The greatest. She is so cool. I mean, she's just the best, and she's sassy, and she's heartfelt, and yeah, I feel like I learned so much about acting from her, and she's a seasoned pro, and she does all this amazing theatre, and you know, she can really give the Doctor a run for his money, and that's always fun to watch for me.
My daughter is ginger, and I told her that one year we have to come as Amy and forever.
Yes, you have to do that. Swap role. Hi.
Okay, so I'm gonna sound really evil, but if you had to choose, like, if you had to choose a creature to kill the Doctor, which one would you choose?
Weeping angels, because that's how I probably went. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. Yeah, I feel like he should get taken down by them as well, and then we're equal. And then maybe he can get displaced at the same time that I am in, and we can get back to Avengers. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering about Oculus.
Oh, yes.
And how much of the special effects were there when you were acting and how much were put in after. And if you've ever watched it and like saw all that together.
I watched it a couple of times actually. I really like it because I love horror movies. Most of it was practical. I think the only thing that I didn't know what it was going to look like was the big glowy eyes. Other than that, everybody was there in sort of full makeup and everything. So yeah, it was cool to know what it was going to be like, and also to know what to react off of, because that's always tricky when you don't know what it's going to look like and then you're trying to react off of it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, princess dress. Hi.
I was just wondering how the relationship between Amy and the Doctor would be different if she was with another Doctor.
Oh, she was like a different, if she was with a different Doctor?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, I can't imagine Amy with a different Doctor. It would be like a different Amy almost. I don't know, if she was with Tennant, or maybe Capaldi. Because then they could be Scottish together. That would be pretty cool, actually. Yeah, just like full Scottish TARDIS. I'm into that. Thanks.
Thanks. I love your work.
Thank you.
And Rory and Amy are my husband and I, 19 years later still.
Oh, that is heartwarming. Yes.
I want to know about a funny story between you and Matt and Arthur.
Oh, funny stories. Where do I even begin? There was the time when Matt fell over in front of Lily Cole, the supermodel, on the Pirates episode. Do you remember that one? When she was like the mermaid creature, and everyone was like, ooh, there's a supermodel on set. And Matt was like, I'm gonna go and talk to her. And I was like, do that. So then he like sidles over, and he's doing this like cool thing that I've come to know really well. And then he was like leaning on this light stand that was sort of next to him, and then the whole thing went over. And then he went over. I was, it was honestly still the greatest thing I've ever seen. Hi, you look great.
Thank you. My name is Spirit, and my question is what...
Spirit?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Thank you. What was your most memorable episode to film on Doctor Who?
That was probably the 11th hour, because, you know, we were getting to establish the characters, and I just felt like it was a really special episode from Stephen Moffat, one of his best, I think. And also, my little cousin was in it, playing the younger version of Amelia, and that was really cool, because she was like this sassy little 9-year-old who had never acted before, and then she killed it! And I was like, whoa, this is amazing! And she made everybody like my character, so that I could just swan on screen and be like, hey, everybody likes me! Yeah, it was great. Thanks.
I was curious what your favorite role was in a film or television production.
Oh, that I've ever played?
Yes.
I mean, it has to be Amy Pond. She feels like an extension of me. I mean, we just got so invested in our Doctor Who characters, all three of us, that, I mean, they're just really special to us, and everything else has been really fun, but it's like not that one, you know?
Thank you.
Thanks. Cool costume.
My question is, on Dinosaur Last Spaceship, is it true that this kiss between Matt Smith and Arthur Darvill was unscripted?
I feel like it wasn't. I think he was always trying to do that. I think it started with he did like this funny little prod to him once, I remember. Do you remember this? It was in what episode? The Pandorica one. When he doesn't believe that he's real, and he just like pokes him, and I feel like it's just like evolved from there. It's just like Rory's his toy or something.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
What was the one that, the Doctor Who episode that you hated acting with the most?
What did I mean, I didn't, this is such a boring answer, but I didn't hate any of them because we got to run away from monsters for a living, and that is the most fun job ever. Maybe, I'm trying to think of one where we were really cold. Oh, I'll tell you which one it was. The Flesh people one. We were shooting in a castle for like 2 weeks, and castles are essentially massive fridges. I don't know if you've been in a castle in the winter, but oh my god, it was so cold, and we were all just like, ugh. And then there was one point in another episode where it was so cold that we had to like suck on ice cubes and then spit them out right before our lines so that we didn't get like the puffs of condensation because it was just so cold outside. So I'd say the temperature was the main thing that none of us liked.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hi.
So if you could like befriend any of the like enemies, like the target, the
enemies, Daleks.
Yeah, like the Daleks or anything. If you could befriend any one of your like enemies, I guess, which one would it be?
I don't know. I mean, a Dalek? Because it's kind of fun inside those things. I mean, I don't want to befriend the Daleks because they're like the oldest, greatest enemy. However, because I've been involved in the filming of it, the men inside the Daleks are really sweet. They're like and they literally climb inside and then they're moving them around. And it looks like a really fun job, and I'm like, that's your actual job. Like, you are a Dalek. That's so funny. So I would probably do that, even though that's not really story terms, but in real life. Thank you.
I was just curious if you could share with us a funny moment between yourself and a fan.
Oh, I'm trying to think. I feel like I've been involved in so many proposals, but I've never felt more like the third wheel in my life. There's like one moment when he, right before he gets down on one knee where you're sort of actively involved. And then, obviously, they're focused on each other, as they should be, because it's a monumental moment in their lives, but also, at a certain point, you're like, cool. And it's really cool to witness. So that's kind of like a strange sensation. Being given anything of yourself is completely absurd in the best possible way, so I'm never going to get over that. Like, receiving knitted versions of myself is just something I'm never going to get used to.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I wanted to know if you had any funny moments with Chris Pratt.
Oh god, he is a funny one. So many funny moments. I'm trying to think. I mean, he's just constantly dancing around and singing. That's the main thing. Like, just it's constant country music and stuff like that. But the one that is ridiculous is Michael Rooker. Who, by the way, so I don't know if you've seen the new Guardians film, but there's a new character called Mantis, played by Pom Klementieff, who's amazing. And she has some really emotional stuff with Drax. And so they were doing this like big important rehearsal. They were alone in a room with the director. She's crying, they're really getting into it. And then they looked over to the door, which had a window in it, and then all they saw was Michael Rooker's bare bottom. It was pressed up against the glass. And the director was like, Rooker, no! I mean, he's ridiculous in the best way.
I was wondering, what characteristics do you yourself share with both Nebula and Amy?
Hopefully none with Nebula. I don't know. I don't have any siblings, so I couldn't really connect with the sort of like being overlooked thing, so I really had to do my research for that. And I feel like we just don't have any of the same mannerisms. Hopefully, anyway, she's all like head tilty and like robot. With Amy, I would say we share most characteristics. We're pretty similar, actually. And I think it's just because I played the character for quite a long time, and after a certain amount of time, it just sort of becomes you a little bit, and you become it, and it all merges, and you don't know what's real and what's not anymore. Thank you. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Chrysalia.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So Amy and Rory's love story is just absolutely my favorite love story ever.
Aww,
they're just so amazing together. You guys were wonderful. So what I wanted to ask, because when the angels took my hand, that broke my heart, that broke a lot of people's heart, but would you have picked a different ending for them?
No, I don't think so, because I think it's the perfect way to go, really, because I think in a weird way it was a happy ending. I mean, she got to be with the man that she loves, and she chose him, after all this back and forth that she had, and she had her doubts at certain points and blah, blah, blah. But she finally chose to be with him, and I think that's kind of beautiful. And I love that we did angels, so I was really happy that those, they were involved in the exit. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, sure.
Okay. So our question is, what are the biggest differences between acting with BBC and acting under American directors, or are there any really differences? And if there are different, what can they learn from each other?
Oh, I mean, essentially you're doing the same job regardless of what country you're in. You're playing roles as truthfully as you possibly can, or trying to. Honestly, the biggest difference is craft service, because in America, it's just the best food. Like, there's just banquets of food everywhere. Like in your buffets, your portion sizes in restaurants are amazing. And it, bleeds into, the acting industry as well, because you have all this craft service and it's amazing. I mean, there was a point when I first came to America, I thought, this is free. Like, I get to just eat this. And it's my favorite thing ever. So I think that the BBC could take a leaf out of your book. Thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
First off, thanks so much for all your hard work. It's really awesome.
Oh, thank you.
All your work's great, yeah. I'd like to shift gears a little bit and say that Selfie is the most criminally underrated comedy of possibly all time. It's amazing, all the jokes in it, got amazing things coming in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Some people watched it.
That's right. I was heartbroken when I canceled.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I wanted to know what it was like to go from the strong and confident Amy Pond to the vain and vapid Eliza, and what did you have to do to get there?
Well, I feel like I'm just always trying to find the thing about the characters that I can grab onto. So, with Eliza, yes, she was vapid and, not this sort of, she was obsessed with her image, and I figured that those were all symptoms of a deeper insecurity, which I think is something everybody can connect with in some way. We all have our insecurities, and that's just how hers manifest themselves. So I kind of just grabbed onto that and then played around with that, I guess, just trying to find what's going on underneath and what's causing all of those things.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So, would you want to spend a full 24 hours with Baby Groot, even if you were responsible for everything he did?
Yes, yeah, he's the cutest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, he's just this tiny little tree thing. Yeah, I responsible for Baby Groot. Thanks.
So I just want to say that the Bond family is what made me fall in love with Doctor Who. So thank you for that. We know that you're in Jumanji 2 as a reboot. What movie from your childhood would you want to reboot and act in?
Okay, this is going to sound like a lie, but it genuinely is Jumanji. I feel like no one's going to believe me when I say that, but like, it's in my top 3 films of all time. I love the original so much. I love Robin Williams and all of the stuff that he did, and Jumanji was top of the list for me. Yeah, but Jumanji was just so special to me in my childhood. I thought it was my favourite kind of action-style movie. So when I even got to audition for the new Jumanji, I was like, what on earth is happening in the world? And then when I got it, I was really confused. But it was so much fun, and I think this reboot is going to be really good and kind of different from the original as well. Thanks. Hi.
I'm wondering, when you're in full costume in any one of your roles, do you ever completely forget who you are and just you are that character and you become that person?
I think there are definitely moments of that, and you're always trying to get to that, but you're not always able to access it. And then you just have to rely on acting technique when you're not fully dropped into that zone. But it's definitely achievable for sure. I think for me, like, I would often find that in Doctor Who whenever I was acting with Matt Smith, and it was me and him one-on-one, because for some reason I could just listen to him and then just get fully immersed in what he was doing and totally forget like who I was and what was happening, and just like I'm just completely present. So and that's really special when that happens between actors, and that's kind of why I do this. So that was cool. Thanks. Hello.
Oh,
thanks.
Thank you. I can listen to you talk all day,
Thanks.
but one of my favorite things you were in was Another Happy Ending.
Oh, cool, yeah.
And I was wondering what about the script made you choose to do that?
What was it about that script? I
It's
liked
the writing producer, and as you get happier from your success.
Oh yes, yeah. I think what I liked about that script was that it was set in Scotland, so I get to go home and shoot a movie for a while. I like the idea of playing a writer. That was something that was interesting to me, to explore what kind of person moves into that field of work, because it's quite sort of introverted and interior was a word that I would use to describe it. And I like a rom-com, a good old-fashioned rom-com. And so I was like, you know what, this is going to be really fun, and I'm going to be in my home country, so it just felt like a good thing to do after Doctor Who. Thanks.
Hi.
Hello.
I was wondering what you thought of all your Doctor Who also being in superhero franchises.
It's so cool. I'm so happy for everyone. Everybody's doing so many amazing things, and Arthur's in his Legends of Tomorrow, which is really cool. Like a kind of doctorish character as well, so that's pretty cool. And you know, Matt is doing so many amazing things, and he's in a Crown. Have you seen that? So good. It's amazing to see everybody. And David Tennant's in, what was he in? Jessica Jones? I mean, it's just amazing to see what everybody's going on to do. Doctor Who is such an incredible platform for any actor. We're all just so grateful to the show for just like giving us so many opportunities beyond it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Oh,
My question is, if you could play any like dream character or role, like past, present, or future, who would you be?
This is going to sound really weird, but Jack Nicholson's character in The Shining. I just think it would be so cool to see a woman in that type of role, and then like a man could be the Shelley Duvall character. We've got to do that sometime. Thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
What's one celebrity that you still fangirl over to this day, and why?
Gillian Anderson. So my version of fangirling, because I see her at conventions, it's just me like casually trying to stare at her but not get caught. So like if she's over there, I'll be like this. And it must weird and she must think I'm a weirdo, but she's amazing. I loved her in the X-Files.
Oh gosh, I'm like starstruck.
Oh.
So you're one of my idols when it comes to acting, because I'm trying to act myself. So I was going to ask you, what role in all of the films you've ever done was the most immersive?
Most immersive. Nebula's pretty immersive for me because I get in the makeup and then I feel completely removed from myself. So that's always fun, to just transform yourself. The role in Oculus was pretty cool. It was challenging because there was like a 10-minute monologue in there, and I just remember spending 2 months learning those lines because it was all dates and facts and names, which is so much harder to remember than like sort of an emotional logic of any sort. So I would say that was pretty immersive, and I was in Alabama, which was a cool experience because there was like alligators on the road. Anyway, that's another story. So yeah, those ones probably.
Hi. Me and my friend are really big fans of Selfie, and we wanted to know what your favorite scene to film in the whole show was.
Favorite scene? Maybe when I had to do the scene where I was convinced that I could make the lead male character look at me while I was exiting a room, but he wouldn't look at me, so I burst into a full dance routine, and it was ridiculous, and I looked so stupid, but it was just so much fun. It was like really liberating. Thanks.
Oh wow, you look so pretty.
Thank you. So what's your most embarrassing moment while filming?
What is my most embarrassing moment? I'm trying to think. God, there has to be one. I've seen people break wind during filming, but I've never done that. I'm blaming it on other people and avoiding the question. I can't think of any. I'm trying to think. You know what, it's probably when I had to do the stunt where I was dropped from the ceiling, and James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, was filming me. And I was so scared that as I was being cranked up to the ceiling, I was screaming like nothing. I was just like, I screamed like a little girl. I was like, ah, please, take me down, take me down. And then they'd be like, action, and I'd be like, Nebula. It's just like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. Probably that. Thanks.
Hi, but I've been wondering, who's your favorite character and like not just who you've been acting as, but like in the entirety of all like things like who's your favorite character that you've ever acted with?
Oh, like, so not one I've played, but one that I've acted with.
Yes.
I mean, other than the Doctor, because that's the obvious choice. I'm gonna have to choose Rory, my beloved husband, because he's so sweet and devoted. Yeah, definitely Rory.
Thank you.
Cool, Fez.
Thank you. You're awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
And do you watch Doctor Who? And if you did, has it like changed over the years? And like, how do you like it now?
So I didn't actually get to see it on television before I was in it, apart from I saw a little bit when it was the sort of Billie Piper era. Losing my mind. I thought that she was amazing. She's probably my favorite companion of all the companions. Probably her paired with David Tennant is my favorite pairing. So I really enjoyed that era. And then we got to be in it, and then I feel like it definitely evolved when we came in. And then I watched a little bit with Jenna and Capaldi, which I really liked, and I liked that whole dynamic. And I feel like it shifted just with new actors. It just naturally kind of evolves into a new thing, which is so cool for the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to say I'm impressed by actors who have done so well with their craft. You don't recognize them. And I think when I saw Guardians, I didn't realize you were in the movie and didn't recognize you at all.
Yes.
Completely didn't know it was you.
My mom didn't recognize me.
Well, along those lines, I'm curious, how difficult was it to adopt an American style accent?
It was okay, actually, just because I used to play Barbies in an American accent when I was a kid. Which now that I think about it, it's really weird. Anyone else did that in Scotland. But, so I feel like I've been practicing from a really young age. And then, know, I take dialect lessons as well, so I do work on everything a lot, so that I'm ready when I get on set. But then also I had this American accent, but then when on my first day of filming as Nebula, I did my first take, and then James Gunn was like, "Can you do this like Marilyn Monroe?" And I was like, "What? What are you saying to me?" And then I tried it, and then it sort of like evolved into this really breathy Clint Eastwood style American delivery. And I was like, that's maybe one of the greatest notes I've ever been given from a director.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I've seen you imitate Britney Spears, too.
Oh my god, yes. I do have a Britney impression. Well, what song should I sing? A non-Britney song, that's the stipulation.
Frank Sinatra.
What, Frank Sinatra? I'm hearing Frank Sinatra. Okay, I'm really nervous, here we go.
That's life. That's what people say. Shut down in April, back up in May.
Moving on from that.
Okay, so as you can tell, I'm a huge fan of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you had to steal one accessory from any of the Doctors, what would it be?
Well, I did steal the binoculars from the TARDIS when I was in it. Those were in my house. Accessory from the Doctor. Those sunglasses look pretty cool. But maybe I'd take Matt's sonic screwdriver. Yeah, I would definitely do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's the worst.
In Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, what was your favorite character?
Drax. I think he's so funny because he's such an amazing actor, and he's huge, and I just think he's got amazing comedic timing, and he's so dry as well. It's almost like a British style humor. I like it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Victoria, and I was wondering what was the scariest episode in Doctor Who that you had to film?
Scariest episode. Oh, you know what was really scary? The one with those dolls. What was that called? I've forgotten all the titles because they changed them all the time. But there was big doll versions. There was a doll version of me, and everybody said that it looked exactly like me. And that was Matt and Arthur. Yeah, I thought that one was really creepy because they looked so weird and they reminded me of childhood in some creepy way. Then they'd like come towards us, so I wasn't into that.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So my question is, if Selfie had made it to season 2, do you think Eliza would have ended up with Henry or Freddie because they both ended up accepting her for who she was?
I vote for Henry because I want them to have ginger Korean babies. Hi.
My name is Hannah, and I do want to say you're definitely one of my favorite companions.
Oh, thank you so much.
Love you in it. But how was it like going from sci-fi fantasy to so real life, like recently in The Circle? And then how was it working with Emma Watson?
Working with Emma was so much fun. I'm an admirer of her work, I think, and also she's just an amazing, inspirational person. I mean, God, like all of these speeches that she gives, it's like she's actually helping the world, which is amazing. And we just like run around saying lines. But yeah, I loved working with her. And working on The Circle was a fun experience. It's kind of all technology-based and kind of scarily plausible and real. And it was nice to get a little bit of mixture and step into the real world for a little while. Thanks. Hello.
Love doing Guardians of the Galaxy.
Thank you.
Just wondering, out of the DC and Marvel universe, which is your favorite superhero, and why?
I think it's gonna be Spider-Man. Because I really love those films, and I don't know why. I just love them all. And he can shoot web from his finger, which is the best.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, welcome to the Valley of Sun. Thank you for all the work you do.
Is that what it's called? The Valley of Sun?
The Valley of the Sun.
Of the Sun?
Yeah, I speak too fast, I'm sorry.
No? Oh, that's cool.
My question for you is, what animated series growing up did you really like, and what animated series do you like nowadays?
Animated series?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if we have the same ones where I grew up, but I liked this American one called Hey Arnold. I wasn't sure like what's moved over there and here. Yeah, and he had like the head, football head. There were Rugrats as well. Remember that? This is like a trip down memory lane. Yeah, I love those two. Those were amazing. What was your favorite?
Probably The Simpsons.
Oh, of course. Oh yeah, and I like Family Guy as well.
Yeah.
Got time for a few more questions.
I was wondering if you had any advice about becoming an actor.
Yes, I would say be prepared to work really, really hard because it's such a competitive industry. But if you're willing to do that, then you can absolutely achieve it and do it, even if it does seem a little far-fetched. It seems far-fetched to me, because I'm from the middle of nowhere in Scotland, so it's like you really have to like devote yourself to it to get anywhere with it. But I would say just like, yeah, go for it and believe that you can do it, because I feel like that's half the battle.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome to Phoenix, sorry about the hot part.
I like the temperature here.
Ooh, want to switch? Okay, so picture this. Amy and the Doctor come across Nebula's path. Who's coming out of that situation alive? And will Amy still be attracted to herself in Nebula form?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if Nebula is Amy's taste. Maybe not. I don't think she's going to be attracted to herself. It's too different. I think that Amy and the Doctor are coming out alive. I do. I just think they're going to somehow outsmart her. Even though Nebula is very fierce, I just think 2 against 1. Oh, good call. Yeah, you know, logistics. Thanks.
Hi there. I love the doc. I just heard you 2 years ago, and I've been trying to catch up ever since.
Oh, cool.
My big question is, when did they tell you that you were River Song's mother? And how did you react when you found out?
They didn't tell me. There wasn't a moment where, you know, I was told. I just read it in the script one day, and I was like, what? Okay, this changes things. Yeah, I kind of wish there was like some sort of ceremony where they're like, and this is the revelation that you've been waiting for. But no, I just read it as usual one day. And then I was like, wow, okay. But I also am sort of glad that I didn't know because it was pretty exciting to read that.
I was wondering because I heard that Luke, Mark Hamill, the guy playing Darth Vader, Luke didn't know Darth Vader was his father until they filmed that scene. They gave him the script as he walked out on the set.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, they like to keep things really under wraps so that we all get to be surprised when we watch these things, and that's just the greatest. Thanks.
Right, maybe 2 more questions?
2 more. Cool fellas.
Hi, I was wondering.
It's okay.
I was wondering what it was like to work with your cousin, being younger than you and Doctor Who.
It was so much fun working with my cousin Caitlin because she's such an amazing little actress. I say little, she's almost as tall as me now and like 16 years old. How scary is that? And she was amazing. I thought she did such a good job, and I loved her whole thing with Matt Smith in that scene when they're cooking all the food and the beans and stuff. And yeah, I was just so proud of her. She did an amazing job, and you know, it's a scary thing to do, but she really nailed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I wanted to ask, like, what's your favorite accent if you practice any others besides American? Like, what's your favorite to do, and like, what's your favorite from a different country?
Oh, I love the American accent. It is my absolute favorite to perform. Again, going back to the Barbies, I think. It's probably that situation. Any other accents that I like? I don't know if I like. I don't mind an English accent. That's fine. Maybe a thicker Scottish one, that's quite fun. When it's like, really Scottish! That's what I'm going to choose.
And has anyone ever made fun of your accent on the set, like in a playful way?
Yes, everybody does that. All the time, in all walks of life, wherever I go. So, I'm used to it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. I do want to let you all know that there are still cash sales available at our table the rest of this afternoon. And she'll be here for autographs and photo ops throughout the afternoon. So please join her over in the Hall of Heroes.